Hey, Matt, you ever have food poisoning?
Yeah, one too many times.
Wait, how many times is that?
I think six.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Okay. I just had food poisoning, like this past week.
Oh God.
Yeah, for the first time ever. I mean, I kind of had thought previously that I had it, but once this happened, I couldn't like actually pinpoint a time in my life where I had felt like that. So I think this was the first time. It sucks really bad.
Oh, oh, I know. I'm super picky with like expiration dates and stuff now, just because I've had food poisoning so many times.
Uh-huh.
I realize that's a disproportionately high number, but I think it's just because growing up, my mom, like, she's a little frugal, so she didn't like to throw things away. Like, I wish that were a joke, but it's kind of not. It's kind of not.
I feel like everybody's food poisoning story is like, oh yeah, like I went to Taco Bell and I got like a bad burrito. I don't know if I've ever heard somebody's food poisoning story being like, yeah, my mom just like fed me old
Poisoned
food.
me. I don't believe I've ever gotten food poisoning from a restaurant or from takeout or anything like that. I think it's all been slightly misprepared food at my or someone else's home.
I feel like so. I was looking it up because, dude, I was like out for like 4 days. It was really bad. It sucked.
Yeah. 4 days. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
So like I've had it 6 times, but like none of them lasted longer than maybe a day and a half.
Like it was really bad for the first night, and then after that, it was just like feeling so queasy. Like moving around was made me like queasy. Like it was terrible.
Oh shit.
And so during this period, I had some free time to Google about food poisoning. Apparently, there's like a whole bunch of different like bacteria and viruses and stuff that can cause it, and each one like has a different kind of like onset. So like you could get food poisoning from food you ate like 4 hours ago, or you could get food poisoning from food you ate like 5 days ago. So I feel like a lot of people like you don't really ever know like what it was, but in my case. I am like 99% sure that I got my food poisoning in the most Canadian way possible at Tim Hortons.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. What a betrayal.
I know, right? I'm sorry. Here I
Do you
am.
know
Trying
what
to
it
do...
is that you had?
Yeah. Okay. So they have this thing called the Farmer's Breakfast Wrap.
Okay.
The Farmer's Breakfast Wrap is a breakfast wrap with a it has
A live farmer right inside.
It has sausage, egg, cheese, and a hash brown.
Okay.
And I think there's maybe some other stuff. There's something like chipotle sauce or something. They're okay. None of Tim Hortons food is great. That's another story. But the app usually has a deal where you can get like two for $5 or something. Yeah. So I sometimes get that because it's like such a dang deal. And if I'm like in a rush or something, I can be like, hey, fuck it. Like it's $5. Here's like food that will, and they're massive. So it's like enough food for the day basically. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'll do that. But not anymore. Not doing it anymore because that fucking sucked, dude.
That's the thing about food poisoning that hits me even harder than the actual sickness is when you feel like a food that you love and enjoy has betrayed you, and so you're hesitant to eat it again.
Yeah. Oh,
like to this day, I love pork chops, but to this day I'm still a little bit hesitant to eat them just because one time it was pork chops that gave me food poisoning.
Well, I got screwed by the farmer, man. Hey, welcome to another episode of Super FX, the show where we talk about game companies buying other game companies, because that's all that seems to be going on these days. My name's Tyler.
My name's Matt.
This is episode 20. 20.
Ooh,
20 years
0.
young. That's,
yeah.
In Japan, I think they say Hachachi.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Hey, look at that. We're officially of age in Japan.
There's somebody in the definitely listening to this like, oh, I have a Hitachi.
Oh no, I think that's a Hitachi.
It's Hitachi, yeah.
I'm more of a Hatachi kind of guy.
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a Hatachi than a Hitachi, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Matt, I just moved to a new apartment.
Yes, you've been talking about it to me for most of the week. How did everything go?
Well, so I had food poisoning at first.
So not well is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Essentially, we found out that we were going to move. It was a pretty quick turnaround kind of thing. It happened. It all kind of came to fruition very quickly, which is like good and bad. But basically, we just had like the last 2 weeks to kind of pack up and get going.
That's how it was when Jackie and I moved. Also, we had very little time. We signed the lease like just about a week before they were like, "All right, start moving."
Yeah. So it was very similar for us. And so I had basically 2 weeks to pack up, all the games, all the consoles, all of my entire life and Lauren's life. And for one of those weeks, I had food poisoning. So,
God.
Yeah, it was a rough go. But hey, we made it. We're here. We're in the new place. Yeah. Getting some good sunlight in the window. It looks lovely. All the games are still in boxes, but
they'll be out soon.
They'll be out soon. Yeah, the shelves are up, so that's something.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah. How have you been? How's your past 2 weeks?
They've been pretty good. I did not have food poisoning, so I got to, enjoy eating and sleeping and living.
Wow, it's always great to enjoy those things.
Yeah, this is video game adjacent, but. I have always put a bunch of, and you know this because you've been in my car, but I've always put game music on my MP3 player alongside traditional, regular like rock and pop music. Just because there are a lot of game soundtracks that I really enjoy, and I like listening to them outside of the game.
I feel like you're dating yourself by saying that you have an MP3 player in your car.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because I like putting MP3s on my phone that are from video games. And that sort of thing is not available for download except in very specific circumstances on Spotify or Tidal or other options of the sort. I have really no choice but to use a device specifically for playing music. And so for all this time, it's been my previous phone.
Yeah.
And I finally reached the point just a couple of months ago where I reached the storage capacity on that phone. I went into this like anxious panic where I was like, oh no, I don't want to like buy a new MP3 player and I can't use my current phone because there's definitely not enough storage on it. And so I mulled it over for a couple of months, and then finally I went to my buddy Joe and I was like, hey, you like tech. Do you have like an old phone or an MP3 player that I can borrow because I'm out of space on my current MP3 player? And this motherfucker tilts his head and blinks at me and he's like, why aren't you just buying a micro SD card?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that is an option that for some reason I didn't think of for the past couple of months. So I bought a micro SD card, and now I'm using my current phone. So I only have one device for music and phone, and it's fucking amazing. It's way better than carrying.
21st century.
I know, but it's still not Spotify or Tidal. So
you're saving money, unlike the rest of the chumps like me.
Yeah, with everything going on with Spotify right now too, I'm just ahead of the curve. So
this is true.
Yeah,
but you're sadly going to miss out on Neil Young. So
it's true. Well, I don't even think I ever listened to Neil Young before.
Wow, but he's a Canadian icon.
I'm sorry. Well, so are you. I listen to you.
Aw.
Yeah.
Honey. I want to tell you about video games.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we have time, I mean, this is a Coca-Cola Mountain Dew show, but yeah, I guess I can allow it.
Hold on. Should we go into soda talk for a little bit? I do have soda talk.
Oh yeah. I totally know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Wait, do you? Wait. Oh,
I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I have two soda talks.
Oh, okay. I totally don't know what one of those things that you're gonna say is.
Okay, the first one. The first thing I was gonna say is Coca-Cola Zero. I also call it Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Actually, that is what it's called.
Uh-huh.
All right.
We usually just call it Coke Zero, but go ahead.
It's called Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
Yes.
They rebranded recently here. I don't know if they did there, but now. So historically, the Coke Zero can has been like a black can.
Yeah.
It's now a red can. And they changed the formula. But it's really good.
Okay. I've never I've never really gone out of my way to drink Coke Zero. I've had it before, but
yeah, dude, it's really good. I freaking love it. I buy it all the time.
Really?
But they have they changed it into a red can, except it's got black text, and the regular Coke has a red can with white text.
Yes.
And I just thought that was like an extremely bold marketing choice. Because when they're on the shelf next to each other, they look fucking identical. It's so hard to like, if you were just like in the store and you went to grab a Coke, you would like, even I have to think about it. And I like buy this stuff all the time. I have to like stop and be like, okay, zero sugar. Like that's the one.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at it right now, and it does look very... It has like a little black... I don't even know what you would call it. It has like this black flourish on the top that a regular Coke can doesn't have.
Oh, it
but
does
I can
not
definitely
have that here.
see... Yeah, it does here. But apparently, they changed it here too. And, oh, wait, no! I was looking at a different photo, apparently. No, it does. It just totally looks like Coca-Cola, but it has black text instead of white text.
Yeah, and I just thought that was like do they purposefully? Because here's the thing: there's a lot of money-making kind of people at Coke. Like they're they are well known for their marketing and their brand power and the like.
Yeah.
Is this intentional? I wonder if this is what it was like. They want people to accidentally buy Coke Zero so they'll try it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's to make people feel better about drinking Coke Zero instead of regular Coke. Because I know that there are a lot of people who they want to drink Coke Zero because it's healthier, but it sucks because it doesn't taste the same, and I'm in that category.
Yeah, so Coke is like officially on record as saying that Diet Coke is its own thing.
Yes.
And the formula for it is like its own formula, and it's not trying to taste like Coke, whereas Coke Zero is more attempting to recreate a sugar-free version of regular Coke.
Yeah, don't you worry, Coca-Cola. Diet Coke has never tasted like Coke. Don't you worry.
Diet Coke sucks.
Diet Coke is awful. Do you remember Abby, one of my exes from a long time ago?
Yeah.
She swore by Diet Coke, and I loved her very much, but that was the one thing we could never agree on. I could never in a million years.
And here we are.
Drinking... Oh, yeah, here we are. I'm like 8,000 girlfriends later. Sorry, Abby, if you're listening. You're not listening, but if you are, I'm sorry. I never liked Diet Coke. You knew it then. It's still true now.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Diet Coke sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, the second soda-related item that I have to talk to you about. And you already know what it is.
Yes.
Mountain Dew has announced that they are making a alcoholic version of Baja Blast. It's called Hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Mother of God, Matthew. I know that this is only in the U.S. in certain states at the moment, or I guess it comes out in February. But I feel like this is, some people said that this is like, the start of the apocalypse. Like this is like what marks it. I think that this is what will propel us into a prosperous and glorious future,
a golden age. See, here's the thing, right? Mountain Dew has already experimented with different kinds of drinks other than just the standard soft drink, because they had like Mountain Dew Kickstart, I think it's called, which is an energy drink. So I think it was just a matter of time until they eventually branched off into the world of alcohol. Go ahead.
Well, what I think is interesting is that it is zero sugar. It's not. Alcohol always has sugar. Like I think this thing's got like 100 calories or whatever, but like they don't add sugar. It's not like sweetened, So it's kind of it's gonna be like a White Claw sort of. I think it's like a seltzer type deal, but it tastes like Baja Blast. Right. So that'll be interesting. I was kind of expecting it to be, like syrupy, sweet soda liquor.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected the same too.
But dude, we're just gonna like be hammered all the time now because
we're gonna throw back a couple of Dewskis with the boys.
Oh boy, a couple of Dewskis. Oh.
I think I just found the episode title.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. Well, soon the boys will be nourished and propelled by the nectarous blood of Christ.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. But we wouldn't be the same if we didn't drink our hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast without also playing some video games. What have you been playing?
Okay, so let me tell you.
Yeah.
I as you know, I haven't had a ton of time to play video games lately, but there is a game that I have found a little bit of time for, and it's something I want to talk about because if I am playing a game that my mom is also playing, I feel like that's probably something that's culturally relevant and worth talking about.
Okay.
So my mom and I, and some other people, have been playing Wordle. Are you familiar with Wordle?
Yes, I am. I have also been playing it. Because in the show notes, I had no idea what you were trying to say with what you wrote.
Oh, but, yes.
Yeah, we can both talk about this
Wordle game.
It's the game.
Wordle game.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird way to spell Dicey Dungeons.
Fuck off.
But yeah, no, seriously, I'm having a lot of fun with it too. A lot of people I know are also playing it.
Yeah, it's it's the new Pokemon Go, except it's just lazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, seriously, we're getting closer to world peace every day, 5 letters at a time.
Yeah, and not any of them are Baja Blast yet.
No, well, it could be Blast, but
yeah, we'll see. Once that happens, then the stars have truly aligned.
Yeah.
Okay, what I think is interesting about Wordle is that you can only play it once per day.
Yeah.
You can't, you can't go back and play like previous games. You have to play today's. So I think this was a really brilliant way of kind of forcing people to check every day. And the simplicity of it, they also made it very easy to share your result. There's a big old share button at the end. And, I'm sure you've been seeing like tweets all up and down your timeline, people texting you maybe or whatever it is, posting.
Yep. And I'm doing it right back. So
yeah, their Wordle result.
Yeah.
It keeps track of your statistics between like through the days. It's very simple, but they made it very easy to come back to and to share with your friends. And so the Wordle has spread, and so now everybody's playing it, including my mom. I don't know why I am like so excited every morning to wake up and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do the Wordle.
Yeah, me too. It's like one of the first things I do. I'll sit up in bed and I'll go to Wordle and I'll just do it before I get out of bed.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Like you play, you do the thing, you spend 5 minutes on it, you do it, you send it to your friend, and then you go on with your day. And you don't really think about it again. And that's it. I don't know. It's just like but yet it's still like a cultural phenomenon, It's like, is this the type of game experience that people have time for now and like people are willing to do? Because here's the thing, if this wasn't maybe like an app that you had to download and you had to sign up for and you had to like put in your email and like all this stuff, right?
You don't think it would necessarily be as popular?
No, and I don't think it would. And I don't think if they had the ability to like go back and play previous games or like like different game modes and things like that, I don't think it would be as popular because then it's just like a word game app, which there's like a dime a dozen on the App Store, right?
Yeah, there's a billion of them.
Exactly, right? So because it's like so, I think it's like so laser focused that, and it's really benefiting because of that. I think it's like they were able to kind of hook the attention of millions by making it dead simple, no fuss, right? You don't have to download an app, you don't have to sign up, there's not other game modes or anything like that. You just go to the website, you're in the game, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I'd like to see more of that kind of thing. I'd like to like my mom was able to start playing it without me like telling her how to do it.
Yeah,
really.
my mom too. She just hit me up one day and she was like, "Have you been playing this? This is like totally your thing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I have. I didn't realize that you would play it." Because my mom doesn't really play games. So
Totally. So I mean, and really says something, right? So I don't. I want this type of experience with like other genres, right? Not just like a word puzzle game. Like I'd like this type of like, okay, you go to a website and you're instantly in a game, and I don't know, maybe it's a platformer, maybe it's like a fucking doodle jump, whatever.
Or like you perform like some sort of task or do some sort of objective.
Yeah,
and then
you spend
you've done
5
it
minutes,
and you're done for the day.
Yeah, and you can't go back and do it again. Like you figured it out, whatever, and then you move on, right? Like I'd love that. Like, you know, if the team behind Wordle is listening and they want to do an idea for the next thing, here you go. There it is. Yeah. Because as far as I can tell, Wordle is not monetized at all. Like they're not making any money off this because there's no ads unless my ad blocker is just working really well.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is because I play it on my phone primarily and I don't get any ads.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the other thing is that like it's a smartphone game, right? Like is this?
Yeah, I mean you can play it on desktop. I have played it on desktop, but I primarily play it on my phone.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I just think it's like I don't know. Whenever something like grabs my mom's attention like this, I always feel like okay, like this is like this is important.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like the way that Wordle is designed, and I'm not even talking about the kind of game it is, like the interface and the way that it presents itself. It's kind of very competition / community forward because as soon as you're done winning / losing, this little like box pops up that immediately shows you your stats for previous guesses. As long as you're playing on the same device with cookies enabled, it'll show you all of your previous attempts at different days in the past. And it'll tell you, you've guessed this many words in 3 tries, or you've guessed this many words in 2 tries. And it'll tell you, like you said, there's that big button right at the bottom that's like share. And it's very like brag / community friendly, where like the game wants you to tell everyone else that you're playing it to get them interested in trying to beat your score.
Yeah, and the way it shares the stats is like kind of ambiguous. So if you're not really familiar with it, you see these like emojis, like these little like these symbols.
Yeah, the colored boxes, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it tempts you to look in further, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a masterclass in like just really like viral marketing and like capturing the attention and just ease of use and you know quick to start and like it hooks you. I wonder, is this like the New York Times crossword? Is this like the light version of that? You know, like I feel like you sometimes hear stories of like people like talking about like maybe historically speaking, like you know, pre-internet kind of thing. You would hear about like stories of people like discussing the crossword on the subway or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a modern light version of that.
It could be. The only thing that I'm worried about is, you know, with how fast technology moves today, the crossword is still around, although it is definitely dying out among newer generations. Yeah. But I shudder to think how quickly it'll be before Wordle just dies and nobody talks about it anymore.
Yeah. It's a matter of time with these. Like this is not the first fad. Like I said, like Pokemon Go, there are still players. It's still a popular game, but it's not nearly what it was, right?
I had a friend tell me that Wordle is the real life equivalent of doing your dailies. I thought that was cute.
It's not wrong. I mean, I feel like I definitely feel like kind of obligated to play it at the moment. Like I'm kind of
me too a little bit.
It's kind of like the first couple weeks of Animal Crossing when the new Animal Crossing comes out. You're like, oh shit, I gotta log on, gotta go talk to the villagers.
Yep.
Right, and then the first domino falls. You miss one day, and then you're like, well,
and you never go back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Anyway, that's all I've really had the chance to play over the past 2 weeks. But in the coming 2 weeks, I've got some stuff to play. So you better stay tuned. But I want to hear about what you're playing.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to stay tuned for what you're going to be playing. But lately, I have been playing Pokemon Legends Arceus because it just came out, and so Jackie and I are really absorbed into it. And I'm going to talk about it, but I want to talk about something I was playing leading up to it, because I just needed something short, because I finished Picross, which I mentioned last episode I was working through. And Picross S2 has like 400 and something puzzles in it, and they're really, really long, and a lot of them are really hard.
Yeah.
So it actually took me longer to beat Picross S2 than any time I have ever played Secret of Mana. Yeah, it was like 31 hours. Secret of Mana is like 23 or 24 or something.
I played through Picross S1, like the first one, or S. Like several years ago, but now at this point, probably 2 years ago, I played through the entire thing. I like 100%ed it. I fucking love that shit. Is the second one just more of the same? Did they add anything new?
So the second one has regular Picross as usual, and it still has Mega Picross, which Picross S1 also has.
Yeah.
But they also added something called Clip Picross, which is essentially do regular Picross, but every picture you do is not its own photo. It is a part of a greater image, and they get larger and larger and larger. And that mode alone has more puzzles than either of the other two modes, Mega or Standard. So there are a lot of puzzles in Picross S2. It's very, very fun.
Okay, I want to play it, but I'm not going to, because I know if I do start playing it, I'm going to get absorbed into it, and I will not stop until
I just put on like some of my favorite podcasts in the background, like this one. And I would just blow through a couple of puzzles. Maybe it would take like a half hour or so, and I would do that once, maybe twice a day. And it took me a very long time. But that's not the game I want to talk about. Because when I finished Picross S2, there were only like 4 days left until Pokemon Legends Arceus released. And I was like, well, I can't get absorbed into like a big adventure, because if I do, I won't be done by the time Pokemon comes out. And I don't want to get into something super duper short, because if I do, I'll have this same predicament again. So I need to play something that is going to be both short but really challenging, so that I can beat it within 4 days, but it doesn't like feel like it's super easy that I could technically beat it before then. So I decided to 100% F-Zero on Super Nintendo, and boy howdy.
Wow.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right?
Did you do it?
I did do it. It was so hard. So, the game really doesn't have any sort of like rules or regulations, and it doesn't really keep track of things. So I kind of had to set the 100% criteria myself, but I went by the speedrunner's definition of 100%, which was that if I wanted to get 100% in the game, I had to unlock and complete every single class. It goes from beginner, standard, expert, and then you unlock and complete master. You have to do every difficulty with all 3 cups in the game. They're called leagues. The Knight League is the easiest, then the Queen League, and then the King League. But on Master Mode, you don't have to beat it with all 3 leagues. You just need to pick one and beat it with that to get the best ending. Right. So I did that. Master Mode took me so long just to beat 1 cup on Master Mode. Took me longer than the other 3 difficulties and all the other 3 cups combined. It was so difficult just to beat fucking 5 races on Master Mode. I did it.
Where's the difficulty coming from? Is there a lot of like rubber banding that goes on, or is just like you have to be like perfect?
So that's the thing. F-Zero is pretty well designed in that the AI does not rubber band, but they play perfectly on Master Mode. So if you are not perfect, that's it.
Yeah,
you're done. The game gives you a chance here and there to recover from a mistake if you make one, but if you make a mistake that is too great, there is no recovering.
Yeah.
And a lot of the difficulty also comes from because F-Zero is a racing game that is not primarily just, hey, make it to the finish. There is more emphasis on just making sure you survive than necessarily finishing the race. You don't even have to come in first place to technically to be considered winning a cup. You just have to come within the top 3 places to have considered having that cup beaten.
Okay, that's
So,
interesting.
yeah. And I think that that's pretty good because trying to come in first place on expert and especially master is, oh my god, it's impossible. But because of that, the game switches focus, and you are racing for the gold, but your primary objective is just to make it to the end without dying, because you have a power meter, and the edges of the track cause you damage, and if you bump into obstacles and bump into the other drivers, they cause you damage. And on expert and master modes, the other drivers are relentless. They will smash into you and do so much damage to you. And there are also cars on the road that stall out and start blinking. And if you touch those cars, they explode and do like a full quarter of your health meter.
Yeah.
So most of the time, even if I was playing perfectly, right at the last moment, I would get bumped into an obstacle and my car would fucking explode from all the abuse that I was taking the rest of the track.
And it's like the most frustrating thing ever. And because
it really is. Yeah. Oh yeah. There were a lot of maps where I was just playing perfectly and got fucked right at the end. But I finally did it. And the game doesn't keep track of your stats or anything. It just keeps track of, hey, on this lap, or should I say on this course, these were your fastest times, but it doesn't tell you what difficulty setting you were playing when you did that time. It just tells you what machine you were using.
Right.
So there isn't any way to prove that you beat Master Mode, unless you're me and you take a video. So I have video proof that I beat Master Mode, and for the treat of our YouTube listeners, I'll pop it in here, but I'll put it with no sound so I don't have to stop talking. But yeah.
Amazing. Wow. I don't know if I've ever recorded myself finishing a game. I think maybe I've taken pictures of like that completion screen or like the.
I've definitely done that. I take pictures of completion screens all the time, but this is the first time I've ever recorded the ending because it's multiple different screens that show this ending. It's not just one screen that you can show that it proves it. So.
All right, I really want to hear about Pokemon. Because I'm super interested in it. I think it looks good. I haven't played it. That's going to be our loyal listeners will know what a Shoppers Drug Mart game is. That's going to be one of those for me. So I'm not going to play it yet, but soon I will. But I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything with the plot, obviously, but then again, it's a Pokemon game, so I'm sure nobody really cares. But still, there is an overarching plot, and the plot actually kind of takes center stage in this game. It's not like a traditional Pokemon game where it's do the 8 badges, collect all the Pokemons. This is more plot forward and Pokemon second, and that's fine. I think it's still done really well, but essentially, the main draw of the game is that it is Breath of the Wild, but with Pokemon. It is fully open world.
Just incredible to me.
Yeah, it's fully open world. Unlike Breath of the Wild, you do have to choose different areas to go to, and then once you're in that area, it's open world. And the world is not wholly interconnected. There are still loading screens between areas. But for the most part, it's fully open world, 3D camera, 3D models, and everything is an action RPG experience. So there are encounters, but they're not random. And when you get into an encounter, you can still move around in the overworld, so you can view the battle from any angle while you're still inputting commands.
Wow.
It's like the battle plays out as a cutscene in the background while you're in the foreground running around and doing other shit, but also telling your Pokemon what to do. The main draw of the game, as far as that... Go ahead.
I feel like this is as a kid, this is the game that you dreamed about, right?
Yeah.
This is everybody always wanted that open world, 3D, exploration Pokemon game where you can really be in the Poke world,
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is just I don't know, years and years. I feel I don't know about you, but this personally, this is just something that I have been waiting to come out, and it kind of seemed inevitable, but then it just never happened and never happened and never happened, and now it sounds like it's finally here.
They finally have the technology to be able to do it, and also I think a lot of people were they felt kind of burned out with Sword and Shield because they I guess Game Freak at some point realized, like, oh god, can we really put like 900 and something Pokemon in this one game? Are people really gonna fucking do that? And so they didn't, and everyone got really mad about it. But in response, Game Freak was like, well, you know what? Then fuck you. This is just the new norm for Pokemon. And so in Legends Arceus, there is still not a fully complete national dex. But I kind of excuse that because Legends Arceus kind of holds the same place for me in my heart as like Coliseum or XD, where it's less of a traditional Pokemon adventure and more of a side story.
Right.
Which is to say, it's not a core series game. But according to Game Freak and Nintendo, it is a core series game. And so that kind of scares me a little bit. Because if this is a core series Pokemon game, does that mean that this is the way that Pokemon core series games are going to be moving forward? Because this is a great formula and I really like it, but it has taken everything that we know about the way Pokemon currently works, and it has changed a lot. Catch rates are way different. The way that Pokemon interact with the environment is basically new, because Pokemon don't do that in other games. Catching Pokemon is wholly different. Battling is different. There are these new things in Pokemon battles called Strong Style and Agile Style. Okay. And even though battles are still turn-based, depending on your Pokemon's speed, you can go twice before your opponent gets a chance to go once. And if you use an Agile Style move, that increases your chances of going twice before your opponent goes. There aren't any double or triple battles, but it is possible to get into a battle with multiple random Pokemon, or even a trainer will send out 2 or 3 Pokemon at a time, but you can only send out 1. And so the opponent's team is just beating the shit out of you. You only have 1 Pokemon out, which I think was an interesting choice, but usually those Pokemon don't do so much damage that you feel overwhelmed, and they're usually a lot lower level to compensate.
I feel like historically what Nintendo has done with the Pokemon franchise is the portable games are kind of the main series games, and then if they do a home console release like XD or Coliseum or those things, those are like the side story spin-off-y type deals. But with the Switch, they're kind of in this gray area, right, where they no longer have the portable console and the home console separation, and so now they're kind of forced to combine that experience. I think with Sword and Shield, I get the impression that they just kind of wanted to get something out. I think everybody knows that one was like a little rushed, and they kind of wanted just to get Pokemon out to sell some consoles. And this was maybe the one where they wanted to kind of try something new, to see if the formula sticks, right? Of like, how do we merge those two experiences into one brand new thing for the portable / home environment where it works kind of both ways, right?
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you get that sense, right? Do you feel like that's why they're including this as like a mainline entry?
See, the thing is, this Pokemon game it definitely still feels like a Pokemon game, right? But it is so different that you can tell that it shouldn't be. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like if someone said, "Oh yeah, Mario Party is definitely a Mario game, but it's also in the mainline series." Right. You would kind of tilt your head at them and go, "But it just doesn't make sense." And so we come to this kind of weird gray area as consumers, where we see a game like Pokemon Legends Arceus, and Nintendo and Game Freak are saying, no, it's a core series title. Again, like you said, they don't have that separation anymore between handheld and console, that they can designate the handheld games as core series and the console games as spin-offs or side stories. And I don't know if that's necessarily why they have decided to call Legends Arceus a mainline game, but you can definitely tell that it'll work in the future as like the formula for the main series, but as of right now, it is the single outlier in the core series, and it doesn't feel at all like a traditional Pokemon game, even though it does still have aspects that make it work like one. So, like, to be honest, it's difficult to answer this question because there's still so much up in the air. And there's still so much that needs to be revealed about the future of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. But as far as my opinion right now and what I think, I have a hard time separating them. And at the same time, I have a hard time putting them together.
Yeah, that's fair. So would you say overall, I kind of get the vibe that, you are a bit more of an old school purist when it comes to Pokemon, and this kind of experience might be enjoyable, but not maybe fully what you were after. Would you say you're enjoying it? Did you finish it?
So I haven't finished it yet. Jackie and I are playing it together, and we're playing it at almost the same pace. But the last couple of days, we've also had a couple of things to do here and there. Jackie's dad celebrated a birthday, so we haven't had a bunch of time. But the time that we have had, we've definitely been playing a lot. And I don't know how long the game is, because I haven't looked anything up. But we just passed what I'm going to call the 4th benchmark in the game, because it's not like gym leaders, and it's not like the island kahunas or whatever the fuck they were in Sun and Moon or whatever. There are a lot of different kind of benchmark systems in the game to measure your progress, but there's one that's a little bit more benchmarky than others, and I'll say that we just both got to the 4th benchmark, the 4th main benchmark. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're 4/5 of the way through the game, because there's 5 like benchmark stamps on your ID card in your inventory. Mm-hmm. Because you know how Pokemon works. There's always going to be something else that happens like right near the end of the game, and it's like, this is the actual second whole half of the game.
Right.
But I will say, when we first started out, I felt very overwhelmed because there was all of this new stuff in Pokemon that felt more like Skyrim than Pokemon. And that's exactly how I felt when I first played Breath of the Wild. Of course, everybody who has played Breath of the Wild has pretty much loved it, and I'm no exception. So while I felt overwhelmed at first in both Breath of the Wild and Legends Arceus, I am now feeling much more at home, and I understand how the game works, and it feels like a very fun experience, and I'm having a lot of fun playing it. It's a really great time. But I definitely understand why I felt so overwhelmed at the start. But that doesn't mean it's a bad game, and it doesn't mean that I don't like it. I think it's really good.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. I don't know. Your description about it being like feeling like Pokemon but Skyrim at first.
Yeah.
That just sounds awesome to me.
Yeah, because there's quests, and like there's main quests just like in Skyrim, but there's also side missions called requests in the game. And you get you don't get experience points or anything like that. Well, actually, technically you do. Anytime you complete a mission, your Pokemon get experience. They don't just get experience from battling other Pokemon. You get experience from catching other Pokemon, you get experience from doing requests, you get experience from doing missions, and you even get experience from using your Pokemon to collect items in the overworld. But primarily you do requests to get items, and you can craft items. You don't have to buy potions anymore. You can fucking make them. It's really Skyrim-y.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome. Okay, I'm very much looking forward to playing this. I don't think I'll get to it anytime soon, but
you still have to play Metroid Dread.
I know, dude. Fuck off. Tell me about it. I know.
Yeah, but yeah, we're already running the gambit here on time, so I want to move into the gamer news with a Z, or it legally doesn't count.
We've got 2 big stories over the past 2 weeks. One happened today, and one happened.
The day after we recorded the last episode.
Yeah. I fucking love this. So I wanted to pull up the press release for I'll do the first one that happened the day after our last recording. I Googled it so I could get the press release, and Google truncated the title of the news article, and so it says Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard to bring the joy. But what the actual full title is: Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard to bring the joy and community of gaming to everyone across every device. Mm-hmm. Which is an interesting way of putting this acquisition, I think. The fact that, it's not just saying like further expanding Microsoft's profile and like the amount of games that we have, and that it's to bring the joy and community of gaming to everyone across every device. Legendary games, immersive interactive entertainment, and publishing expertise accelerate growth in Microsoft's gaming business across mobile, PC, console, and cloud. So they very much are looking to, it seems like, diversify across devices, across platforms, more so than, obviously, like them acquiring Call of Duty and them acquiring Overwatch and World of Warcraft and all that. Like, that's a big deal, obviously, but at the same time, they really are pushing this as like, we want to have games everywhere. Like, we want games on mobile, we want games on PC, we want games on console, like we want games in the cloud. So obviously, like, this is huge news. I don't know what to think. I mean, on one hand, I have, there's such excitement. Like the kid in me is like so excited that like, World of Warcraft now is the same company as Halo. And so now like Master Chief can be in World of Warcraft. Like maybe they'll add Spartans to World of Warcraft, and like they're like the kid in me was always like so excited about like those crossovers. Like that was always such like a novel idea.
Yeah.
And so having all of these like titles and all these like really, really big brands and really big franchises like under the same roof, like that's crazy. But on the flip side, it sucks to see
like this monopoly kind of forming.
Yeah, totally. Like, we have maybe 6 like big multinational corporations that own like the vast majority of like AAA/AA game development now.
Yeah.
And so it's really starting to kind of feel like, you'll have these 5 companies doing the AAA stuff, and then you'll have Nintendo, and then you'll have indie, and like that's it, right? And Microsoft continues to buy up the indie studios as well, right? And because they want that Game Pass stuff. So like, when does it stop? And it won't stop. We both know that it won't. It'll just kind of keep happening. It's just it makes for a very crazy gaming landscape. I'm glad to hear that there's still, at least it sounds like, things will still be multi-platform. But yeah, it's a very very wild time.
Yeah, I mean, this sort of thing happening just kind of goes to show that we really do kind of live in a world where you have to kind of pick and choose who you're going to represent and what company you are like really fighting for. It was easier back in the day because there were a lot of different companies making a lot of different games, and anybody who was anybody could just make their own platform. Whether they succeeded or not, that's a different story. But anybody could just pump out a video game or a video game console, and it didn't really matter. But now we have what we always refer to as the big 3, and it's been that way for such a long time that we really don't even stop to think about the way that it used to be. And the reason why we have things the way they are and why games are so good and why they have been so good is because there were a lot of these different companies making different games and putting them on different platforms, and everybody got to experience games a slightly different way, but we all had a very similar experience to each other. And now we've come to this point where all 3 companies are bringing something roughly dissimilar to each other to the table. Where Nintendo has super family friendly, Microsoft is kind of like hard and gritty, and then Sony falls somewhere in the middle, but they still kind of have their own like take on it. Where you kind of have to, especially because of the way that video game consoles are right now and how much they cost and how available they are, you really do have to just pick one and be a fanboy for that one. And that makes it really, really difficult to open yourself up to more experiences and to more games when so much is happening to restrict the competitors of a company from doing the same things as them. Like the fact that Microsoft is buying up Activision Blizzard, and we're going to talk about another one, but I guess I'll just mention it. But Sony bought Bungie, which happened today. The fact that all of these purchases are happening is basically just moving toward an eventual future where if you want to play a specific series, you have literally no choice but to buy a specific console. And it can be argued that, yes, that's kind of the way Nintendo has been going about things forever, but they have a very specific kind of IP, whereas for a very long, many years, companies like Microsoft and Sony have kind of been able to share platform, not platform exclusivity, but they've been able to share their platforms with each other and with Nintendo for other games like Skyrim or like Red Dead, which did not come out on Nintendo, but I'm using that as an example of just the two of them sharing with each other. Mm-hmm. And yeah, yeah. Forgive me for rambling about it, but like, no, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I do wonder if the Sony news that came out today about Bungie, I wonder if that's, you have to wonder how long that was in the works for, because when this Microsoft thing went down, people talk in the industry, and I'm sure Sony had some inkling that something like this was going to go down, but this feels almost I don't want to say retaliatory, but reactionary from Sony to be like, oh shit, like we might lose Call of Duty, right? And they've said at this point, Microsoft has said that Call of Duty is still going to stay on PlayStation for the time being, right?
Yeah.
But they're well within their right to yank it at this point, right? And that Microsoft wants that shit on Game Pass.
Oh, of course.
Game Pass is like a huge cash cow for them, and this is like a big part of this acquisition is just getting more big titles onto Game Pass to get people to sign up onto Game Pass. Yeah. So Microsoft wants that shit on Game Pass, and so Sony knows that they're risking, they can lose a lot here. They have a lot to lose, and so I wonder how recent these talks with Bungie started. Right? Like how quickly that deal happened, because it feels very reactionary. It feels like, oh shit, we're going to lose Call of Duty, so we need to secure Destiny, right? Or we need to secure whatever the next thing is that Bungie's working on. Because if we don't start doing this now, what do they have, right? If they lose Call of Duty, like I know so many people who their PlayStation is a Call of Duty Vanguard game, or machine. Like that's what it is, right? And so if that suddenly is not there at some point, in the coming years, right? Like that's a big blow for Sony. So I don't blame them shaking in their boots a little bit, right? And so this feels very reactionary to me. I would be so interested to know like how long that deal had been in place, but yeah.
Yeah, no, who knows? It could totally be retaliatory. The only thing is, whether it's retaliatory or not at this point isn't the issue. It's whether or not this is a good idea in general. And I'm sure it's a great idea for Sony, but I shudder to think how this is going to affect the climate for gaming in the future, and how accessible / inaccessible certain series are going to become.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's tough. Microsoft very clearly, I think they're moving towards, they want their platform on every device. They want Game Pass to be available on every device. Maybe not on PlayStation, but they want.
There have definitely been jokes that like Game Pass is coming to PlayStation.
Exactly, right. And I that would not be out of left field for me. Like I don't
not
see
anymore.
That as like a huge reach, because like it's very much that Microsoft is turning into this. Like a software platform of Game Pass, right? And less so much as a console manufacturer, right? They'll still have the Xbox. You can still buy the Xbox. So you can use it for Game Pass, and you can use it for those like the 4K experience and that kind of thing, right? But they want to get Game Pass on every phone, so you can play all these games. When you're done your Wordle, you can hop onto Game Pass. Maybe they'll get Wordle. Maybe that's next. We'll get Wordle on Game Pass.
Microsoft buys Wordle for $3.6 billion.
Yeah, I think that's the direction we're going. So I think Sony and Nintendo are in kind of an interesting spot where they, Nintendo is very much still like a hardware company, and they they have their games. Obviously, they're a software company as well, right? But Microsoft is heading in a very different direction. Whereas Nintendo is still like their hardware is still so proprietary, and it's still such a big part of the experience that it's interesting to see these companies have such different directions, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens next, kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
We don't really have much other news this week, and we don't really have time for it anyway.
Yeah,
but
we still really have a whole lot else that really casts much of a shadow over those two things anyway.
Yeah, so. Certainly. We do have a little bit more time, though. I know you wanted to talk about some pickups and some stories this week. So,
yeah,
why don't you take us out on those?
So the first thing I want to talk about, Savers, which I've been to a lot because they usually have pretty cheap games. Recently, Savers came through for me. Usually they don't have like a ton of great stuff, just a couple commons here and there. Mm-hmm. But I went to Savers this past week with my friend Nadine, and we were there because she asked me to take her there. Right now her car is being used by a friend of hers, and so she didn't have a way to get to Savers. I had already been to Savers that week, so I wasn't going to go back. But she asked me to take her so that she could look for an armchair for her apartment. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, sure, let's go. And wouldn't you know it, I go to the media section where they have their games, and two things occur. First of all, I see a PlayStation 2 for $80, which is not good.
For the Canadian listeners, Savers is like the US equivalent of Value Village. I actually think that there are some Value Villages. It's the same company. It's just different brands. When you go to a Savers, it is Value Village. It's like fucking the same thing. And Value Village pulls the same shit where they price like PS2s for like a crazy amount. Unless you go to the good Value Village. Go to the good Value Village, they don't do that shit.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start going to the one in Comac that you and I went to where we found all of those guides on the counter.
Yeah. Because
I don't think they work the same way. But, at the Savers I usually frequent, which is only 10 minutes from me. They've been doing that more and more, where they price consoles way, way too high, and then I'm left to go, oh, so Savers. Sure. That's where I am. Savers. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. But the reason why Savers came through was for the second thing I noticed, and that's that on this day that Nadine asked me to go to Savers, I found somebody's offloaded GameCube collection. Which, right now, GameCube games are going up, and they're becoming way harder to find than, like, PS2 and Xbox from the same generation.
GameCube fucking sucks to collect for now.
It really does. I mean, it's fun, but it's very expensive, and everything is becoming rarer and rarer. Even the common games, like Mario Sunshine, is impossible to find, too. So, I will admit, a lot of the games that they had there, I already had, and I don't really buy games specifically to flip them. And, I was also trying to save money to buy other games because I'm doing that challenge where I have to buy a game every day. So I can't really afford to just buy games and try to flip them. I have to save money for more games. What a problem to have.
What a problem.
So I only bought the ones that I needed. But, oh man, they had some good boys. Among the ones that I didn't take were Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, Luigi's Mansion, a player's choice, but it was Luigi's Mansion, Billy Hatcher.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I already had it, though, so I didn't take it.
You didn't buy it? Matthew, you know who doesn't have it?
Oh, man. I'm
God
sorry, Tyler.
Damn it, sir. I should just send you, like, a big, like, wad of cash.
You know what? It's honestly, that's my fault. I should have been like, hey, do you need any of these?
Yes.
But at the same time, I didn't want to, like, I don't know if I would have wanted to bother you, but fuck. I'll buy you a copy of Billy Hatcher. That
would have been worth it to bother me.
Yeah, I still owe you like a game or two to buy anyway. So, and there was a copy of Zapper, One Wicked Cricket, which I also already have. So I took the rest of the stuff that was there. I got Amazing Island, Bomberman Generation.
Oh, is that the one where he's like a dark ass motherfucker?
No, that's Act Zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's on 360.
Bananas. Yeah. Okay.
and Sonic Mega Collection, which I did also already have, but this one was the Player's Choice variant, so I got it anyway.
Gross.
They also had a sealed copy, for some reason, of Spec Ops Covert Assault on PlayStation, so I got that for $1. And they had the Hori Pokken Tournament controller for Wii.
Yeah, so I forgot that thing existed, and you sent me a picture of it, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I opened it up and zoomed in, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, is that a fucking Ouya controller or something?
Yeah, that's what you said to me. You were like, is that a Ouya controller?
Dude, I could not for the life of me figure it out. And then you were like, it's the Pokken tournament. I was like, oh yeah. I completely forgot that thing existed.
Yeah, it also came in 3 different colors, and nobody fucking cares about them at all, so no one even knows that it exists, let alone comes in 3 colors.
It's so funny.
But yeah, there were a couple of other lesser known titles that I picked up too. I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard about there was actually a sequel to Crystal Chronicles, and they also had it at Savers, and I didn't have it, so I got it. It's Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles: The Crystal Bearers, and it's on Wii.
What a name!
Yeah, what a mouthful. I got that too. And they had a copy of the actual big box version of Wrath of the Lich King, the expansion to World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And I used to play WoW a lot when I was growing up, and I have a digital version of the expansion now, but I never owned the physical version of it, so I bought it. It was $3.
Yeah, I wish I had this space to collect big box PC games. I fucking love that era of PC gaming where they would sell giant boxes for games. Oh man, I wish I had the space to have that kind of stuff, because the artwork and that kind of thing on those are just so cool.
Oh yeah, they're fun. I mean, I got a lot of other things in January since the last time we spoke, but that was the biggest one. Everything else was just kind of...
Yeah, that's a sweet holiday.
Okay. Yeah, everything else was just kind of okay, whatever. But I did want to bring up some more MAG stories, and this will probably be the last time I talk about MAGFest until the next time MAGFest happens. But there are 2 stories I want to bring up that are not the story that I told last time.
Thank God. Yeah. I mean,
by the way,
fair,
thank you to our listeners.
I did start this episode talking about, also talking about nasty bowel issues.
Not in the same way, and not so forward.
I think we're even.
Yeah, special thanks to our listeners for making our last episode our most popular one. I guess for that reason. So thank you. So okay, 2 stories about MAG. There were a lot of recurring jokes at MAGFest. One of which was Tyler. Are you familiar with the Vine/meme? Oh my God!
No.
No. Okay. That's a thing. That's a Vine/meme. And Joe and Max and I could not fucking stop doing it all weekend. At 3 in the morning, we'd be walking through the halls. It's 3 in the morning, right? But it's MAGFest. No one's actually asleep. So we're walking through the halls of the Gaylord just going, oh my God! So that was fun.
There's always whenever those types of events happen, there always seems to be a meme.
Yes, and Tyler, believe it or not,
there was the Garfield.
Yes, the Garfield thing. Well, there was another thing like that too. So I guess there's 3 stories. There was a new Garfield card this year. It was a
oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I texted it to you. I'm pretty sure, so you may already know about it. It's not a Garfield card specifically, but it was a card with Sonic the Hedgehog on it, and it was all all over the convention. I kept finding them in different places, and I think each of us found at least one. But someone was just throwing them out all over the place, and it was a 3D model of Sonic on a card that said, "Sonic says it is morally correct to pee in the ocean." And so I kept mine. It was really fucking fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I found my Garfield cards while I was packing up to move.
Oh, sweet.
The other day.
But you have more than one?
Yes, I have a stack.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, I just have the one. I've kept it in my phone case ever since you put it there while I was sleeping when you came to with us the first time. But back to in-jokes, because Tyler, you were part of one of those in-jokes that weekend.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you remember when I called you and I told you that we went to the Plant Tulips panel?
Oh, yes. How was that?
It was great. Why don't you plant tulips on these nuts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Max got me with that in the car on the way to MAGFest. And when he got me with it, Jackie was awake, so she heard it, but Josh and Joe were sleeping. So I got Joe with it later that day at MAG and Josh. And then I called Dustin and I got him. And then I called Sean and I got him. And then I called you and I fucking got you while you were hanging out with Lauren and your friends. And you had the audacity to put me on speaker. You fucking played yourself.
I did. Well, I mean, everybody else, Captain goes down with the ship, everybody else comes down with him.
It's true. I called so many people that weekend. That joke was flawless. It had a 100% success rate. Nobody fucking saw it coming.
I hope you're fucking proud of yourself.
Oh, I really am. But there was one other story that I wanted to tell, and I don't necessarily know if the story is funny, but it's definitely humorous, and it is weird. I was getting some food in the marketplace, the restaurant that I talked about last time, with Max and Josh. And we had just finished up eating, and Josh entered a raffle to win either a Nintendo Switch or a PS5. One entry was good for either. And he was like, I'm going to go to the raffle. I'll see you guys later. But Max and I didn't really have anything to do until our next panel. So we were like, you know what? We'll go with you and we'll cheer you on. We'll see how it goes. And so we followed Josh to the panel. And on our way to the vendor hall where the panel was, these two guys in cosplay, I think they were Naruto cosplayers. I don't watch Naruto, so honestly, I don't know. They definitely weren't Naruto, Sasuke, or Sakura, because I know what they look like. But they definitely looked like they could have been from Naruto.
Sure.
They stop us, and specifically stop me, and they're like, "Yo, Jeff!" And I don't say anything because I don't think that they're talking to me. At this point, they're
Jeff.
Right. They're also like almost making eye contact with me. It looks like they could be looking behind me. I'm also pretty short, and they were tall, so I don't say anything. And as I approach, they stop and they like put their hand out to like put on my shoulder, and they're like, "Yo, Jeff, what's up, Jeff?" And at this point, I'm like, "Is this a joke?" Or do they really think I'm... Yeah, exactly. Because they're so adamant about it, and they're not saying anything else. So I'm just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, yo, Jeff, where you been? And I'm like, I've been here.
Wait, you didn't say, wait, I'm not Jeff?
No, the very next thing he's like is, wait, are you not Jeff? And I'm just like, no. and they look at each other, and they look back at me, and I'm wearing a mask, so you can't see the lower half of my face. Because MAGFest did masks for every participant. Yeah. So you can't see the lower half of my face. You can only see my eyes and my hair. And they just look at each other and look back at me and say, yo, are you fucking serious? You're not our friend Jeff. And I'm just like, no, is this a prank? And they're like, no, dead ass, you look exactly like someone who is at MAG with us, our buddy Jeff. You have the same hair. Wait. Is that your real hair, or is that part of your wig for your cosplay? And I'm like, no, this is my real hair. And the dudes are like, no way, Jeff is wearing a wig that looks just like that as part of his fucking cosplay. And I'm like, fucking what? And then like,
oh my God.
Yeah, and so I tug on my hair to show that it's, sewn to my fucking scalp. And they're like, oh my God, no fucking way. Dude, forgive us for like the personal question, but like, can we ask how old you are? I'm 29, but my birthday is in February, and MAG has just been this past January, so I just said I'm 30. And they go, no fucking way, Jeff is 30! What the fuck? And so they're like, yo, can we take a picture with you and send it to Jeff? And so they took a picture with me.
They probably were like, this is our friend Jeff is cosplaying as this guy Matthew.
Yeah, they never even got my name. I never told them my name.
I wish
so
we could have
they took a
seen
picture, and so now Jeff. I exist on the cell phone of one person who went to MAGFest who has a friend who is cosplaying as someone who looks just like me.
Who could they have been cosplaying as?
I don't fucking know.
I have so many questions. Matthew, okay, to all of our loyal listeners out there, we call upon you, our YouTube army. Find out who the hell Jeff is.
Yeah. Hashtag who is Jeff?
Get us a picture.
Hashtag cosplay Matt? Question mark? Can you put question marks in hashtags? I don't think so.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's everything. And with that, I guess that's going to do it for this show. Guys, to learn more about Super FX starring Tyler and Jeff, you can visit our website, superfxpodcast.com. You can find our show wherever you find your other favorite podcasts, including Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And you can follow us on social media. We have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, at SuperFX Podcast. Reach out with any comments or questions on social media if you guys like, or you can send us an email, hi@superfxpodcast.com. That's hi at superfxpodcast.com. If you like what we're doing and you want to support us, dude, like, seriously, thanks. Please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/superfxpodcast. If you're listening on YouTube, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please help us out by rating and reviewing the show. Special thanks, as always, to Kenny Martin for our theme song. You can find him at Kenma, that's KENMA.bandcamp.com. And guys, special thanks to you, as always. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.